Sometimes it's as easy as ABC or 1, 2, 3 and repeat after me. But other times the challenge is a bit harder, especially for your toddlers when it comes to following directions. Red Door Pediatric Therapy's Amber Fox is joining us this morning for you to learn new ways in which your kids can understand directions a little bit better. Good morning to you, Amber.
Morning.
Good morning. So to kick this off, does learning to follow directions start at a young age?
Yes, learning to follow directions even starts when our kiddos are just little infants. And a lot of times it sounds like when we ask them questions, we might say, "Oh, you want up?" And you see them reaching their hands up or saying, "Oh, wave, bye bye." And we'll even start to see some of that emerge around ages 6 to 9 months. So they're pretty little when they're starting to follow these directions.
So only a couple of months, especially 6 to 9, they could start waving their hand. They're not that old at that point. But what is the next step? At what point do we go to 9 to 12 months, let's say?
Yeah, at that age, you might start noticing them following some directions like give me when you want them to hand a toy or show me or oh, get your shoes. Kind of between that 9 to 12 months. Some of that will depend on how well they can get around, but a lot of times you'll also notice them starting to identify some body parts. At this age, we'll start doing peekaboo. And so you'll say, oh, cover your eyes. And so that's following a direction that way to cover their face, or even, oh, give me high five, and following some really simple directions within play based things.
And those directions as of right now are nothing more than maybe 1, 2, or 3 words. But having said that, how much help do I have to do in order for my kid to follow those directions?
Yeah, we say as much help as your child needs, because when we're working on following directions with anything at home, we want it to be fun, we want to keep frustration low. And so for our little ones that are starting to just follow directions and identify objects kind of between that 12 and 15 months, you might have your hand out a little bit more and say, oh, give me. And so they have more of a gesture cue, so they know what you want them to do. But as they get more successful, you can kind of fade those cues. You won't necessarily have to point exactly like, oh, put it in exactly where you want things to go. You can kind of fade those, and you'll want to even just show them what you mean. Kind of by that later age, they might start to point to more pictures in books too.
So besides just doing hand gestures, Amber, is there any like fun, creative ways we could do that or utilize
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
What I really like to do with my little guy when he was following directions is grabbing some books where you have to follow directions in the books. So then I can show you in my There's a Monster in Your Book exercise, is that you have them shake the book
Mm.
or you have them tickle his toes. And so you're following directions while you're looking at books. You're also getting some of that early literacy. Turn the page, blow. So you're working on directions while you're also doing your story time.
I really, really like that. So you're utilizing a bunch of different things together while just blowing. I like that. But now, what if the case though comes where my child just isn't following the directions at all?
Yeah, if they're having a really hard time following directions, do it with them so that they're able to see exactly what you want them to do. Oh, I should sit down. So kind of show them or even just help them. Okay, we're going to sit down now so that they can really help follow those directions along with you. If you want them to point to different pictures of actions, maybe do the actions with them. If you say, oh, find the girl who's sleeping, show them, oh, this is sleeping. So then they have more context and they have more information to follow those directions. Um, with some of our other kids is really we think about the types of directions that we're giving them too. If we are giving them related or unrelated commands, that if we're giving them a related command, that's going to be a little bit easier to follow. So that might be something that's part of a familiar routine where, oh, get your coat and put it on, versus two things that aren't related. Put the block in the cup and then go get me the car. Those are longer and really harder and more complex to follow. So your child might be having a breakdown in that aspect.
Does it matter to Amber if it's, say, a command versus a question? Do you always want to do the command side?
I find kids are a little bit more successful if you give them the direct command. Sometimes if you say, oh, can you give me this? Then they go, no. And so they are trying to answer the question versus just directly following that direction.
That's a good advice there. Now, what are some things, though, that parents should consider when having their older child follow those directions?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about those related and unrelated directions, giving them some more unrelated directions. One thing that we use are kind of these fun little dice that have some directions on them. You can roll the dice, and first you have them, oh, you have to crawl and then flutter like a butterfly. And so they're not related, but they're a little bit more fun. Sometimes we'll throw in some other direction words like before and after, because that has to do with a time concept. And so incorporating those, they also get to learn what before and after means, because they can be kind of confusing. Really, when the word before is in a different location of the sentence, it can change the meaning. So if we consider a direction like find your shoes before we go, compared to oh, get
That's
your I got a little bit
That's
confused.
okay. That's okay. We're out of time anyway. But for those parents that do have more questions, Amber, where can we find more about Red Door Pediatric Therapy?
So sorry, I could talk forever. You can find us in Bismarck, Grand Forks, Beulah, and Minot, and you can just call us on our central number at 701-222-3175.
It's definitely an interesting topic. Thank you so much again, Amber.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Keep it here. We're going to wrap up North Dakota Today right after this.